Are you thinking of adding a Lexus GX550 to your garage, but you're concerned with overall quality, reliability, and maintenance costs? Well, in today's video, I'm going to share with you my full, unbiased, and truthful opinion of long-term ownership with the GX550. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. My name's Will, and this is the Wimya YouTube channel. You already know I gotta hit you with that real quick sales pitch. If you get to the end of this video, you enjoyed it, you like this type of content, you like mod videos, you like just overall automotive content, think about hitting that subscribe button. Totally free to subscribe. Just sends you a quick little notification whenever I'm posting some new content out there. But if you don't want to subscribe, a like is always really appreciated as well, guys. Now, let's get into today's video. So, for you subscribers out there and people that have probably watched a few of my videos, you already know that's my Lexus GX550. For those of you that don't know, that's a 2024 GX, it's Premium Plus. I've had it since September of 2024, and we actually just reached the 30,000 mile threshold with my GX. So I figured this would be a great opportunity just to recheck in with you guys, shoot the shit a little bit, share my personal ownership experiences, things that have popped up for me, issues, recalls, all of those things, and just honestly give you guys my truthful, unbiased opinion of the GX. I know there's a lot of people out there that really love this SUV, and there's a lot of people that kind of hate on this SUV. I don't really understand why, but that's just the nature of humanity, I guess. People hate on things for, you know, who knows what. But yeah, let me go ahead and turn you guys around, show you my GX for those of you that haven't seen it before. So here it is. It's a little bit of shitty weather today here in South Florida, so I pulled the GX in here just to get a better view and get out of the rain. But 2024 GX550 Premium Plus, it is on the Westcott Designs lift kit. So it's like, I believe, a 2.5 inch lift. It's on some 22 inch Vossen wheels and some 285/55 Nitto tires. We also have the first edition Land Cruiser roof rack on there. Obviously it fits in my garage. Do get a lot of questions about that in regards to, does the GX fit in a garage once it's lifted and on some bigger tires? So yes, it does. Have, like I said, 30,000 miles on this GX. A vast majority of them has been on like this setup with the lift, wheels, tires, and all of that. I got it done, I would say, like around 2,500 miles was when we got like all this stuff on there. So, you know, like I said, vast majority of its life has been on this setup. So we'll dive into that in a little bit, but thought I'd just give you guys an overall look of the GX. If you've watched a lot of my other videos, you already know what it looks like, but this is for you newer guys out there. Interior, we have the two-toned saddle in black. In the rear, we have the two captain's chairs. Really do love this layout. Yes, a car seat does sit in the captain's chairs for those of you that were curious. And then there you can see back there, bunch of storage because we have the third row folded down. But yeah, that's about it on my GX. So now let's get into the nitty gritty. So first thing I want to touch on is just my personal opinion. Now, I want to preface that again. This is my opinion. It's not factual information. It's just my point of view of ownership with the GX. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. I love the GX. It's quite controversial right now with like the whole engine having like the recall and all of that, and saying, a lot of people and like automotive vloggers and all of that saying that it's not like a total reliable vehicle. Look, I totally understand that. In my opinion, I haven't had any mechanical issues whatsoever. Had the transmission kind of harsh downshift and all that, so if you're a GX owner, you already know what I'm referring to. If not, it was a real harsh downshift going from second to first, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but that's been remedied now. Been driving for 10,000 miles since that update, haven't had any other issues. So in regards to actual like mechanical like power plant, no issues whatsoever. For what it's worth, knock on wood right now that I don't have any more issues. But I love the GX. It's a really great vehicle to drive. It's very easy to drive. It's very easy to maneuver. Although it is a quite larger vehicle, really easy to fit into tight parking spaces. Turning radius is really good. Still fits in my garage, as you can see here, even with it lifted and with having a roof rack. So it's really practical, fits in a majority of parking garages. And I know I'm not talking about a lot of like off-road stuff here. This is more so tailored to the people that are going to be using this as a normal daily commuter vehicle. You know, your soccer moms that are going to be going to Target, the school pickup line, and Starbucks, right? So yeah, this will fit in all of these Starbucks drive-thrus, narrow ones, all of that, no issues whatsoever. Again, knock on wood that these things don't get curbed in the future, but yeah, guys, I love it. It's a very comfortable vehicle to drive. On the interior, I know it gets a lot of hate. People don't think it's quite up to Lexus quality. I think it's perfectly fine. Again, this is kind of like a utility vehicle, so I totally understand that it doesn't have the most luxurious finishes on the interior. And as you can see, after 30,000 miles and with a toddler that has, you know, put this thing through its paces, the interior is holding up very, very well. You can see the dash up there, no fading, no lifting, nothing like that. Seats are still in really good condition, really good shape. As you can see, no real blemishes whatsoever. And again, this gets used every single day, 30,000 miles. I know there's other people out there that have, you know, well over 30,000 miles, but I don't think they're on YouTube. So I'm just going to share with you guys my personal opinion, but yeah, it's holding up. And overall, I just think the GX is a very solid vehicle. In my opinion, it's wearing really great. Paint quality on the GX is absolutely awesome. I've been dealing with like my Fords for the past few years that have really shitty paint quality. I really do think the GX has really awesome paint. For the black anyway, I can't really comment on any of the other colors. So if you're a GX owner that has any of the other colors, comment down below and just chime in on how your paint is kind of holding up and if you've had any sort of quality issues with yours. But on mine, it's been absolutely solid. So yeah, that's just my overall opinion of ownership with the GX. Now we'll start getting into a little bit more in regards to like the issues that I've faced and just kind of overall cost of ownership with the GX. Issues that I've had with my GX, it's kind of like a longer list. I like to refer to these as first world problems because honestly they're not really all too much of a big of a deal to me anyway. I don't want to downplay it. If you guys out there think they're a bigger deal, then that's perfectly fine. I'm not gonna like, you know, rain on your parade or, you know, downplay anything. To me, they're just not that big of issues. First things first I'm going to talk about is the hood flutter. They did issue a service bulletin to repair this. You can basically like adhere the outer skeleton to the internal skeleton. That resolves the issue. I didn't have to go through that repair. I didn't want to go through that repair. They were able to adjust the stops underneath it, and that eliminated my hood flutter. Second thing are the brakes. A lot of people have experienced this, really squeaky brakes with early ownership. If you were to like reverse it, they would sound absolutely horrible. I had all 4 brake pads and shims replaced, and ever since that happened, no more issues whatsoever. Third thing is the harsh downshift. I did experience this. It was honestly really, really freaking annoying. It was the one thing that I'd say was really annoying me about the GX. I did not like it whatsoever. It honestly felt like the transmission was like failing. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, a very common issue with like 2024 and 2025s, it's when you were coming to a full stop, downshifting from second to first, there was a really aggressive like jolt. That was remedied with a software update which came out about 6 months ago. I had that repair made. I've been driving now for well over 10,000 miles since that update, and I have no more harsh downshift. So thank goodness for that. And once again, I'm going to knock on wood right here that that harsh downshift doesn't return. Fourth on my list was the backup camera. I never had the failing backup camera like a lot of other people had. Mine was kind of weird. It was kind of like a fisheye lens view of it. Some people were telling me that you can go into the settings and repair that. I actually had like a recall notice on my Lexus app, so my last service appointment I let them deal with it, and I haven't been experiencing that whatsoever. And once again, I never had like the failing backup camera, but I did have the notice for it, so I let Lexus repair it. Those were the things that I experienced with my GX. Honestly, not too big of a deal in my opinion. Like I said, first world problems. So yeah, if you guys are Lexus owners and you experiencing anything other than what I mentioned, comment down below, because we like to help prospective buyers on this channel. So go down there and do your part. Now, I made a full dedicated video about the whole engine recall and all of that, and if you want to dive into that a little bit more, go check out this video up here. I'm not going to spend too much time on that here, but Lexus reported that it was due to excess machining material that was left inside the block during the manufacturing process. I personally think that's bullshit, but that's just my opinion. I'm not going to go out on the record and say that's fact, but yeah, do your own research and check in on that yourself. And it was early model 2024 GXs that were put on a recall for the engine. Mine, haven't had any issues with mine whatsoever, so I can't really dive into it all too much on what owners experienced, but yeah, go check that out yourself. And I will say I've done 2 services since that was last posted, the whole thing. They did the oil analysis on mine, no heavy metal flakes in my oil, nothing like that. So for me, thank goodness, I seem to be avoiding that so far. And like I said, with 30,000 miles, I feel like something would kind of pop up by now if I had like premature issues with the engine. So once again, knock on wood that I don't run into that. So one thing that I do want to chime in and comment on, once again, I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse with this, is the whole fuel economy and range with the GX. I think that is honestly the biggest downfall of the GX. Yeah, doesn't get the greatest fuel economy. Mine is averaging right around 14 to 16 miles per gallon, depending on if I'm driving in the city or on the highway. Really not all too great. Honestly, it's kind of, to me anyway, what's kind of to be expected with having like a larger SUV with larger tires and all of that. So that is what it is. Not all too surprised with that. I wish would have gotten a little bit of better fuel economy with going to a V6 twin turbo over the V8. I thought that was like the whole point of going with a smaller engine, was to improve fuel economy, but yeah, that is what it is. If I was going to be getting this miles per gallon, I wish it would have been with a V8, but digress. I think the biggest thing is the size of the fuel tank. It's a very small fuel tank. When I fill this thing up, it's sub 300 miles of range. You have to run 93 octane in this, so it's a little bit of expensive to fill up. It's anywhere around like, you know, that $70 mark to fill up, depending on where you are, obviously. But we have 93 in Florida, which I would say our average fuel cost is around like that sub $4 per gallon. But yeah, if you're, you know, constantly having to fill up multiple times a week, that kind of is what it is. And, you know, that kind of falls into the having to pay to play. So I totally get it. I'm not really bitching about it, but just thought I would, you know, throw that out there for you guys. I really do think the biggest downfall and the issue with the GX550 is the size of the fuel tank. Now, I do know there is aftermarket remedies for that. You can get an extended fuel tank that you can basically add like another 10 gallons of fuel, but I don't really necessarily want to do that. This is a pavement princess. I totally get it. If you guys are overlanding this, you can put that on there if you're going out into the wilderness and all that cool shit that I'm too lame to go and do. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I wish the fuel tank was a little bit bigger. Now let's dive into servicing the vehicle. I actually have the service plan on mine, so I kind of prepaid for everything, like in the financing and all of that. But I would definitely recommend getting an oil change every 5,000 miles. Lexus is going to say you can do it every 10,000, but just do it every 5,000 miles. So with 30,000 miles on mine, I've gone through 6 oil changes so far. My local Lexus dealership charges $250 per oil change and tire rotation. Honestly, not too bad. That's another thing. Definitely rotate your tires every 5,000 miles when you're doing the oil change. You might as well just do it. I've been doing it with these Nittos, but I'm sure even with the stock tires, you want to obviously, you know, keep rotating them so you don't get any sort of uneven wear or anything like that. And I don't know how well you can see right here, but with the Nittos, they are wearing pretty well. Again, these are used primarily on the road, so don't sacrifice me. I totally understand it's a pavement princess, but yeah, rotate them every 5,000 miles and you will get plenty of life out of them. Now with 30,000 miles and the whole servicing in intervals, there's a little bit more than just your standard oil change, filter change, and tire rotation. So we did a full brake fluid flush on these. They did measure the rotors and the brake pads. I didn't need them yet. I do think around like that 40, maybe 45,000 mile mark, I'm gonna need new brakes. But with the fluid, we flushed that out, all new brake fluid in there. That was an additional $500 to do that. I know I probably could have gotten it cheaper, but I just like to have everything done at Lexus. There's a nice catalog of all servicing done at Lexus on this vehicle, so I figured, you know, it is what it is. Let's just have them do it. They've been maintaining the vehicle really well, so we let them do it. So also with that, they did do a cabin filter change out, as well as the intake air filter change outs as well. So 2 filters along with that as well. So I think like all in all, I spent around like a little under $600 for the whole servicing. Like I said, I had already prepaid for the engine, oil change and tire rotation and all of that. Again, this is all done at Lexus. Obviously you're paying a premium for that. You can get it done for well cheaper if you're going to like an independent shop, but that's just my 2 cents. If you're looking to keep a good catalog of everything done at a dealership, kind of got to pay to play, right? And since mine is modified, I'll dive into a little bit of just overall experience with my modifications. Like I said earlier, I have the Westcott Designs preload collar lift. This gets like a lot of hate for some reason. A lot of people say it totally ruins the ride of your vehicle. In my opinion, those are people that have no experience with a preload collar lift. They like to just read some BS on the internet and they think that's facts, right? But it's not. This is my 3rd vehicle that I've had preload collars on. My current Raptor has a preload collar lift. My TRX had preload collar lift. They don't ruin the ride quality. Yes, it does change it because you are adding a little bit of preload, right? So you are going to feel a slight more stiff, more firmness in the front because you're adding a little bit more preload. But does it ruin it? Absolutely not. And I will say the whole Westcott collar lift has been absolutely bulletproof. No issues whatsoever. It's been awesome. The wheels and tires, like I showed you before, wearing out really great. The tires balance really good. There was no issues with that whatsoever. Same with like the wheels. The Vauxhalls have been holding up great. No rust, no corrosion, nothing like that. So I can't really hate on that all too much. One thing I will say, we have had to do 2 alignments on this, and that's probably due to user error. My wife did drive this through like an automatic car wash that has like those rails, so I do think she might have like turned in a little bit more and the wheel was turned and then it turned it, so it just knocked it out of alignment. That's kind of user error there. And one time I was driving it and I hit like a pretty big dip in the road, and I do think that kind of knocked out the alignment a little bit as well. Something else I'll touch on that I've covered probably about 100 times at this point, but people always still seem to ask, is do you need to do any sort of trimming once you fit these massive wheels and tires on there? And the answer is yes. As you can see right here, that is a bumper cut. It's right at that little bit of an angle right there, and that is to clear these tires when you're going in to turn left and right. When you're at full lock, if you didn't have this, it'd be pushing on the bumper really far out there, so have to do a little bit of trimming right there. And then on the inside right here, you need to do a little bit of trimming and pushing this liner back to clear that. So yes, you do need to do trimming and a little bit of a bumper cut if you are looking to run an aggressive fitment like this. But yeah guys, all in all, I'm still really enjoying the GX. I absolutely love it. I really don't think there's anything else on the market right now that looks as cool as the GX, that has the hype as much as the GX has, that has like that really premium-ish kind of feel, that's also really like utilitarian and like off-roader kind of rugged look. So I really love it. The wife really loves it. That's what's most important. This is her daily driver, so if she loves it, happy wife, happy life. So yeah, I fully endorse the GX. I know I'm gonna get hate on that. People are gonna think I'm some sort of Lexus fanboy, which I'm not at all. Just sharing my honest opinion with you guys. But if other owners out there have had like a nightmare with their GX, comment down below and just share your thoughts and opinions of the GX, because I like to be fully transparent on this. This is just my opinion and my experiences. It doesn't mean that everyone is going to have the same point of view and experiences with their ownership. So comment down below, share yours. Let's start a conversation and help some other people out there, right? But as always, guys, my name's Will. This is the Wimya YouTube channel. Really appreciate you guys chilling with me today. Like the video, share, comment down below. If you guys have any questions, I really try my best to reply to everyone. If you want to talk shit down there, that's perfectly fine too. Just expect it back. It's all in good fun, right? But yeah, guys, like I said, appreciate y'all coming in and supporting the channel. and I'll see you all in the next one. Later, everybody.